All right, we just got the official standings, official playoff rankings, the final playoff rankings of the 14 format before next year we go to 12 teams. Obviously, very disappointed on a personal level just because of the fact that you guys know I'm a massive Florida State Seminoles fan. My son's right here next to me, doing something here, writing some drawing here. So typically I don't ever record anything on Sundays, but today obviously with the rankings, Selection Sunday, big day, of course. So I'm disappointed on a personal level, of course, but you know, I want to start here first. So let's unpack. First things first. Did the committee get the four teams right? The four best teams? It could be argued yes. I've been saying for weeks upon weeks upon weeks that Florida State wasn't or didn't feel like a top four team. And granted, I was saying this also too when Jordan Travis was healthy at the time. And I said, going way back, like early November, that they had to run a table to make the committee know that, listen, we belong here, this and that's it. That we should belong in the playoff. They had to go 13-0. And they did that. Now, granted, they did this losing Jordan Travis, their starting quarterback. Broken leg out for the year against North Alabama. Then, of course, the backup, Tate Runmaker, gets hurt against Florida, gets concussion, doesn't play last night in the ACC title game against Louisville. Obviously, the third string quarterback, last podcast I got his name wrong. I don't know what it is. Brock Glenn, whatever his name is. He didn't play well. He played awful. But the Seminoles did everything they needed to do to win that game and become ACC champions and go unbeaten. Okay? But what did I warn about weeks ago? On this show, on the main podcast, on other various platforms I appear on, I said Florida State needed help. Washington winning on Friday did help, yes. But they also needed Georgia to win. Because by getting Alabama out of the paint, a 2-loss Alabama team out the paint, it makes it much easier for the committee to say, well, we can't put a 2-loss Alabama in there. We can't put a 2-loss Oregon in there, obviously, in there. The only team you might even consider is Ohio State. But Ohio State, though, didn't win their conference. In fact, they didn't play in the conference championship game. Whereas, at the very least, Texas and Alabama could say, we won the Big 12. We won SEC. Alabama has the singular biggest win of the year in beating Georgia yesterday in the SEC title game. So I knew once Alabama won that game last night that Florida State was in trouble because they needed a miracle. They needed Michigan to lose against Iowa. You know that wasn't going to happen. So I get what the committee did here. I totally get it. Like, Florida State is not one of the four best teams in college football. I'll say it again. I've argued that Florida State is not one of the best 5-6 teams in college football right now. I would argue Oregon's in the conversation, but Oregon has 2 losses. So, but on a personal level, I'm disappointed because of the fact that I thought a Power 5 team that goes 13-0, regardless we may feel the ACC and everything else, we can't sit there and say, oh, this team sucked. You beat this team sucked. Oh, Penn State sucked. Oh, this team sucked. Look, not every team in college football sucks. I'm sorry. Every team, you have 130 schools in the Division 1A, so 122 of those teams suck. Then why do we play the games for? Why do we even suit up for football at this point? But the larger issue here too is I don't have an issue with the committee doing this because of the fact that at the end of the day, their objective here is to put up the best product possible. I don't think the Florida State product would have been palatable for the committee for the world to see on January 1st and New Year's Day rather, against in this case it would have been Michigan, having your backup quarterback. Even the guy in the committee, I don't know what his name is after real rankings. He was on the ESPN a selection show, and he said that the Jordan Travis injury absolutely played the main reason why they decided to leave them out. He didn't hide that. He said the Jordan Travis injury, they are a different team without Jordan Travis. This is true. I agree with that. But I also think that 13-0 is 13-0. That's where I get kind of in the wings there. And again, this is a Power 5 conference team. They have the resume too also. However many people at Louisville and LSU, you can't control the teams you play. But you can control the teams you play and how you play against them. I don't even know, honestly, given on the committee what they said last night, or today rather, I don't think that even if Florida State won against Louisville, excuse me, sorry about that, against Louisville in a blowout fashion with the first-string quarterback, I don't think that would have helped. I think once Alabama won against Georgia, I think they had to set in their mind that Alabama is going to be in there because not only did Alabama beat Georgia, not only have they have the resume to do it, but also, I just don't see the committee keeping out any SEC team in this playoff. Yeah, there's one SEC team in playoff. I mean, is there SEC bias? Probably yes, but is it deserved? In some cases, yes. So on a personal level, I'm disappointed the Florida State didn't get in. I'm proud of the school and what they've done and the turnaround in the last couple of years with Mike Norvell, someone who like myself, who's been very critical of Norvell, but has really caught on. And this is the point of how things played out at the end of the year. I guess Travis' injury, of course, and all that, but otherwise, no surprises here. Michigan won, no surprise there. Washington 2, no surprise there. And as I said also too, I thought Washington had a case for number 1 based on their resume, but we're not going to argue that. 3 is Texas, and then 4 Alabama. So Michigan and Alabama will play in the Rose Bowl on January 1st, and then the Sugar Bowl will be Washington against Texas. Should be really good games, honestly. Curious to see when Florida State goes. Obviously, they'll be a New Year's 6 team, but yeah, so disappointed in this. I'm not gonna lie about that on a personal level. But did they get the 4 best teams in based on the situation? I have to argue. I would actually argue they close to did. Although I will say Georgia, despite losing yesterday, probably still better than half the teams, not most of the teams in the bracket. I think if Bama and Georgia play again, Georgia might win that game. I think Georgia. I'll take Georgia over Texas. I'll take Georgia over probably Washington, and I think Michigan and Georgia could be a wash. I am surprised actually that Georgia didn't go ahead of Florida State, given everything that played out. Given how soft the committee was against Florida State, surprised Florida State wasn't number 6, honestly. But nothing here or there. So I just want to check in here with a reaction podcast on the Unfiltered podcast here, with my thoughts on the rankings. Did I get it right here? I mean, again, it's one of those things where you have to separate the personal. You separate the conversation of best teams versus deserving, and they got it right in terms of the best teams available. But I still think Florida State deserved being there. It's because of the fact they went 13-0 and did their job. So that's all I got to say about that. So anyway, so I'm checking here real quick on a Sunday, and now I'm gonna go downstairs now, enjoy some NFL football. The Giants are off today, so there's no stress there today for me at all. So we will talk to you guys soon. Look up for the podcast this week on the Earnest podcast when we obviously talk about this topic throughout the entire week. With Student Game Kyle Nash, with Zach Generate on a Wednesday edition of the podcast. A lot of things coming this week too on the pike. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we will talk to you soon.